Hi guys, it's Emma AITA, your favorite AI slop tuber. Before we jump into today's video, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you never miss an upload. Thanks so much for your support. Now, let's get right into the video. AITA for refusing to lend my brother money. After years of bailing him out, I'm 36 and my younger brother Kyle is 32. Growing up, we were close as far as brothers 4 years apart could be. But while I was the straight A student, Kyle was the rebellious one. I don't say that in a condescending way. He was the kind of kid who challenged every rule, skipped classes, talked back, and generally acted like the world owed him something. I, on the other hand, was the responsible one. College-bound, cautious, always cleaning up after our dad's temper and our mom's guilt-ridden attempts at peacekeeping. Despite our differences, I always tried to support Kyle. When I got my first job after college, Kyle had just flunked out of community college and was living back home. I helped him get an entry-level position at the company I worked at. Not glamorous, but a foot in the door. He lasted 3 months before quitting because he couldn't stand being told what to do. It became a pattern. Kyle would find a new job, last a few weeks or months, then quit. He chased dozens of ideas. A landscaping business, a dropshipping store, a podcast, even a crypto scheme. Each time our parents would ask me to help him out, just until he gets on his feet. I lent him money for rent. I paid off a traffic ticket once because it would have led to his license being revoked. I even let him live with me and my now wife Leah for 3 months back in 2017, rent-free. That period was a breaking point for Leah. She never liked Kyle much, thought he was immature and manipulative, but she tolerated him because I insisted he was just figuring things out. During that time, Kyle wouldn't clean up after himself, smoked weed constantly, left the door unlocked, and once used our debit card to buy food without asking. Leah was furious. After a particularly bad argument, I told Kyle he had to leave. He left, but not before calling Leah a controlling bitch and accusing me of abandoning him like everyone else does. That should have been the last straw. But it wasn't. Over the next few years, Kyle floated from couch to couch, girlfriend to girlfriend, job to job. And I, reluctantly, and then out of sheer guilt, kept helping. Small amounts of money, rides, help with resumes, advice. But the resentment was growing. Not just mine. Leah had begun to see it as a betrayal every time I gave Kyle something. We fought about it a lot. She felt like Kyle was draining our time, energy, and money, and that I was enabling him because I couldn't face the truth. Kyle wasn't just unlucky, he was irresponsible. In 2022, Leah and I had our first child, Ava. That changed everything. Suddenly, I had a family of my own to care for. Our budget was tighter, and our priorities shifted. Kyle reached out less frequently, which I took as a relief. Maybe I thought he was finally figuring things out. That peace didn't last. This past February, Kyle called me out of the blue. His voice was tense, and I could tell he was trying to stay composed, but the desperation leaked through. He told me he had just lost his job, again, and that his girlfriend had kicked him out of their apartment. He had nowhere to go, no savings, and needed money for a motel and some food, just until the end of the month. I felt the familiar churn in my stomach. It was like déjà vu, the same lines, the same pleas. I hadn't heard from him in almost a year, not even a text when Ava was born, and now he wanted help. But it was different this time. My gut reaction wasn't guilt. It was anger. My daughter had a cold that week. Leah was running on fumes from night feeds. I was working long hours to cover some new bills. I didn't have time or mental space for Kyle's endless drama. Still, I didn't shut the door immediately. I told him I needed to talk to Leah first. When I brought it up, she didn't even let me finish the sentence. Her face just hardened. "No," she said firmly. "No more. We've given him enough." I didn't argue. For once, I felt the same. So I called Kyle back and told him I couldn't help him this time, that things were tight, that I had my own family now, and that maybe it was time he found support elsewhere, maybe a shelter or a church, or even a government program. Kyle didn't take it well. He said I was abandoning him when he needed me most, that I was acting like I was better than him just because I got lucky in life. He even said Ava would grow up to hate me when she found out I let her uncle sleep on the street. I hung up. It was the first time in years I didn't feel bad afterward. But then the rest of the family got involved. Our mother, who has always been a peacemaker and a chronic guilt tripper, called me 2 days later in tears. Kyle had told her everything, or at least his version of it. She said he was sleeping in his car, that he was cold and hungry, and that she couldn't believe I'd turned my back on family like that. I reminded her of all the times I'd helped him before, and how it never led to anything but more dysfunction. She didn't want to hear it. She said, "I raised you boys to be there for each other. I didn't expect this from you." That stung. Then our dad called. And unlike Mom, he wasn't crying. He was angry. He accused me of being heartless, of letting money change me. He said, "You think just because you've got a house and a kid now, you're too good to help your brother?" I told him calmly that being responsible doesn't make me arrogant. It makes me an adult. And if Kyle had taken even a fraction of the opportunities he'd been given, by me, by them, by countless others, maybe we wouldn't be here. Dad hung up. After that round of calls, things got weird. The rest of the extended family started chiming in. My aunt messaged me on Facebook saying she didn't recognize me anymore. A cousin I hadn't spoken to in years left a passive-aggressive comment under one of Ava's photos saying, "Too bad she won't grow up learning how to care for family." A few relatives unfollowed me altogether. It was absurd. Suddenly, I was the villain in Kyle's sob story, the selfish older brother who turned cold after becoming a dad. Never mind that I had supported him for nearly a decade while he bounced from mistake to mistake. Never mind the time he bailed on a job interview I lined up for him by not showing up at all. Or when he sold a gaming console I lent him to make a quick buck. Or the dozens of unreturned texts and promises. All of that vanished under the tide of family guilt and nostalgia. I didn't back down, though. For the first time in my life, I felt firm in my boundary. I told Leah everything. Every text, every message, every conversation. She was more supportive than ever, and I think, for the first time, truly proud of me for drawing a line that held. But Kyle didn't stop. He began sending me long late-night messages filled with emotional appeals. He told me he was scared. That sleeping in his car was hell. That he was cold, ashamed, and felt like everyone had given up on him. He brought up old childhood memories, trying to pull me back into that protective older brother role. One night, he messaged me a photo of his shoes. They were ripped and worn through, the soles separating. The message read, "This is what rock bottom looks like. I never thought you'd be the one to watch it happen." And for a few minutes, I cracked. I hovered over my banking app, ready to send him $200. But something made me stop. Not coldness, not pride, clarity. I realized I wasn't doing him any favors by stepping in again. Every time I'd helped, I was hitting the snooze button on his consequences. If rock bottom was real, maybe it was time he actually hit it. Maybe that's what he needed to finally confront the choices he'd made. I told him that. I sent one last message. "Kyle, I love you. I always have. But love doesn't mean shielding you from consequences. It means letting you face them so you can finally grow up. I'm not sending you money. I hope someday you'll understand." He didn't reply. It's been 4 months since that last message. Kyle hasn't reached out since. My parents still aren't speaking to me beyond strained updates about their health or reminders about holidays. Leah and I decided not to attend Easter at my parents' house this year, partly because of the cold shoulder and partly because we didn't want the toxic tension near Ava. That hurt, a lot more than I let on. My mother sent a short text saying, "We missed you," but didn't mention Kyle or what had happened. That was something, I guess. As for Kyle, I heard through a cousin that he checked into a halfway house and got connected with a local job assistance program. I don't know if it'll stick. I hope it does. Genuinely. I'm not angry anymore, just tired. Worn out from years of watching someone I care about self-destruct while being asked to hold the pieces together. Leah tells me I did the right thing. Sometimes I still second-guess myself. Not because I think Kyle deserved more, but because I wonder if there was a better way to handle things. Maybe I should have involved a counselor earlier. Maybe I should have tried tougher love sooner. Or maybe I should have just let go long ago. But here's the truth. There comes a point when love without limits turns into harm. What I gave Kyle wasn't just help. It was insulation. From responsibility. From maturity. From change. It wasn't kindness anymore. It was enabling. Now things are quieter, not easier exactly. There are still family events we avoid. Still cousins whispering or choosing sides. But our home feels more peaceful. I come home to my daughter smiling and babbling. Leah and I go on walks again. We talk about the future, her plans to go back to work part-time, maybe a second baby next year. And maybe, somewhere out there, Kyle is learning how to build his own life from the ground up. I don't wish him pain, I wish him strength. But I also know I can't give it to him. That has to come from within.